right, folks, let the games begin. All right, everybody, welcome aboard here at Sports Talk Nation. Michael Cohen here with you. Yes, baseball is indeed finally back. After all the headache, all the hand-wringing, and all the problems that were caused from this lockout, 99 days. And last night, on Wednesday night, it looked like we were going to see more games canceled, as a matter of fact, as all of a sudden a international draft, which the owners had tied to draft pick compensation, it looked like that was going to lead to another week of baseball canceled, probably even more than that. There was talk that at the time, April 14th being at the earliest for the opening day, and the thought was basically that there was a good chance that we were going to see, if not a whole month or more of the season end up being canceled over the pettiness of this lockout. Instead, give both sides some credit where credit's due. They finally got together, they kept at it, and they finally agreed to a collective bargaining agreement the next day. 99 days, and now we have something in place, and now opening day is finally going to happen. It's going to happen now on April 7th, not the 14th. The first week of games that were all canceled, they're back on. How? It's going to be doublehead. You're going to probably see doubleheaders. You're going to see a big chunk of games that were at the start of the year, the first series of the year, put to the end of the season. It'll be the last series of the season, so the regular season will be extended a little bit into October, but it will be a 162-game season. Doubleheaders this year. No more 7-inning nonsense. It'll be full 9-inning games for doubleheaders for sure. So that is good from that perspective. But just some of the other details, just before we get into this, and how it's going to impact the Mets, how it's going to impact the Yankees. It was funny, listening on the way back to this studio to talk about this, and there was the talk that there were a couple of Mets players who were concerned about the CBT, which, from everything I see here, it's going to be about $230 million for a CBT. Remember, the owners initially came in around 220. Players wanted, $235 to start? They came to an agreement at $230 million for the collective bargaining tax, and there was some concern from some Met players. A lot of people believe it was Max Scherzer, maybe even Francisco Lindor for that matter, that they felt it was going to be too low and may hinder Steve Cohen from spending more money. I don't think Steve Cohen really cares about that. He's got enough money. He's going to find a way to spend more on free agents, and we'll get more into that in just a moment. So the CBT is at $230. You have the minimum salary governing players with less than 3 years of Major League service. That jumps. It went from $570 to $700. And then it will grow to as much as $780. So the players not only got what they wanted, got a little more than what they wanted at $780,000, plus a bonus pool worth of $50 million will be distributed among those players who have yet to reach salary arbitration. There'll be a 45-day window to implement these rule changes. There'll be a limit on the number of times a player can be optioned to the minor leagues in a season. Draft pick inducements to discourage service time and manipulation, so that's going to be eliminated. Draft lottery implemented with the intent of discouraging tanking. Pittsburgh, we're talking about you. And also, all that talk about the international draft, that's now been it's almost a can that's been kicked down the road a little bit here. It's been kicked down the road till July. If both sides can agree to something, then great. If not, then they'll just they'll save it for another day, rainy day, sometime in 2024, and I guess reopen this whole nonsense with the CBA at that point. But they'll have until July 25th to come to some kind of agreement on an international draft. But the point is, we're finally going to have baseball. We're finally, after all this, going to have baseball finally come back, and it's going to come fast and furious, folks. As I said, opening day is now April 7th. It is, what is today, March 10th? It's March 10th. Spring training begins tomorrow, March 11th. Players start reporting March 11th, and then the full training camp begins on March 13th, which means free agency is going to begin right now. And there's like 300 players out there who are still not signed to contracts. There are a bunch of players who are looking for contracts right now. So you're going to see a lot of moves made fast and furious. It's going to be hard to keep up over the next 24 hours. That's why you're going to see more than this one video on this channel, because there's going to be a lot coming. So what can we expect from the Mets, from the Yankees? And now keep in mind, with a new collective bargaining agreement now agreed upon here, as I said a moment ago, there were some Met players who said they were concerned that maybe the CBT would have an effect on the Mets spending more money. I don't know if that's going to be too much of a problem for Steve Cohen, for that matter. I don't see that being an issue. So, who are they going to go after next? There was a lot of talk about, before this lockout happened, maybe Chris Bryant, who, to me, has always been more of a third baseman when he was with the Cubs. He can play a little bit at outfield as well. Do the Mets want to go out and spend some big money on him? There was, for whatever reason, I don't know how this even got linked, the idea that Freddie Freeman could be on the Mets' radar. This came out in the last couple of weeks. Former Atlanta Braves first baseman felt he wasn't getting the contract that he would want to finish out his career in Atlanta. Do the Mets want to bring him aboard? I don't know if that's really a fit. Now, I know you're going to have the DH now in the National League, but the Mets already have a situation with Robinson Cano. Isn't he going to be the DH? Do the Mets try to release him from his contract? Do they try to eat some of that money? That's going to be a big part of this over the next few hours, for that matter. And if they feel Freddie Freeman is a fit, what does that do for Pete Alonso? Does that mean we're going to have a platoon at first base between Alonso and Freddie Freeman? That's kind of weird. That's just some of the rumors that have been bouncing around. But some of the other names to keep in mind of, from the Mets' perspective, Michael Conforto. Again, I know a lot of Met fans have moved on from Conforto. He didn't play well last year, but he's still a free agent out there. Do the Mets want to bring him back on a short-term, one-year deal to see what he can do this year? Or do they go bold and go for somebody like a Nick Castellanos? The Mets need outfield help. We all know that. Do they go after somebody like him? And then you go into the starting pitching. To a chatter that Mets could have been interested in somebody like Carlos Rondon, a left-handed starting pitcher formerly of the White Sox. Went 13-5 last year. Do the Mets want to consider going after him, being a fifth starter potentially in this rotation? Of course, the rotation that has Scherzer and DeGrom. At the top of this rotation, Carlos Carrasco, who we have to see, if he's going to be healthy enough, and of course Taijuan Walker as well. So, do the Mets go after somebody like a Rondon? So there are moves to be made for the Mets, and they're going to start getting made very quickly. The Yankees need to make moves. They did literally nothing before the lockout started. They need an answer there at shortstop. Now, they do have Anthony Volpe, who is one of their top prospects down in the minor leagues. Do they really want to spend a big contract on some of these big names that are out there? I mean, you look at shortstop for the Yankees, Carlos Correa, who's the big name out there. Trevor Story is another name that's out there. Do they really want to spend big money on, let's say, a Carlos Correa? I mean, I don't know. Knowing that they have these big prospects that are coming up through the system, I don't know if they want to do that. We'll see what happens here. There is a sense that they want to move Gleyber Torres to second base. I guess you can move DJ LeMahieu into the outfield or to first base. I don't know what's going to do to Luke Voigt, so they got to make some moves there. And again, what do they do at first base? Do you stick with Voigt? Do you do Voigt LeMahieu platoon? Do the Yankees go after Freddie Freeman, or do they go after somebody like, or try to bring back Anthony Rizzo? Freeman's been a name that's also been linked to the Yankees as well. So, and the Yankees could use a big left-handed bat, as we all know, and either Rizzo or Freeman would provide just that. So, both of these teams are going to make a lot of going to have to make a lot of moves. Everybody's going to be making moves. Heck, even Clayton Kershaw is a free agent. I would imagine he's going to go back to the Dodgers, but right now, anything is possible at this moment. So it's going to get insane over the next several hours. I'm glad baseball's back. I'm glad that this ridiculous lockout is now over. And it was really frustrating. I think we all felt the frustration of what was going on here in Major League Baseball for weeks. And once the Super Bowl ended, as I said a couple of videos back, once the Super Bowl ended, you start to say, there's no movement on the CBA. What's going on here? Are we going to have a season or what? Because nothing was going on. And there's a lot of blame to go around. You can blame the owners, you can blame the commissioner, you can blame the players' union. There's a lot of blame to go around in this one. There's no good guys in this one. And baseball was willing, and the fact that baseball was willing to take a black eye for this, it doesn't speak well to them at all. So baseball's got to do a lot of work to kiss and make up with a lot of fans who say, that's it, I'm done. But let's be honest. As I said before, you're going to come back. The fans are going to come back. The diehard fans are going to come back. We're back talking about baseball again, and let's get it started. So you know what to do, folks. Follow us here online here on Sports Talk Nation, right here on YouTube. Also online, facebook.com/OpenMicProgram, @OpenMicNJ on Twitter. Let's get it started. The season is about to begin. We'll talk to you next time.